looking for, in particular, what are the jobs of Congress?
The one. It's this road that you come on, the one. Stop looking for attention. If your feet is touching, all you have to do is tell them, oh, I did. You didn't move it. Thank you. Can you move your feet over a little bit underneath your desk? Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to stop there. And I want you to turn in your packet. And I turn all the way to page. I know it seems like a lot. I want you to turn all the way to page 10. Thank you so much. We're going to look at number 1 together. Now, number 1 asks us, according to the document, what are the 2 important duties of Congress? Okay, so I told you as you were annotating to look for 2 jobs that Congress had. All right, so what's listed there? Oh, okay, Jamaj, what do you think are one of the duties?
B.
B is correct. So to protect, let me grab a marker. So to protect letter B, so to protect the states in times of war. Did we possibly find our other option? This is what the document says that Congress can do. Demetrius, what do you think?
A. Sorry.
No, it's a good guess, but no.
E.
It is not F. Jamash?
D.
D. D. Letter D. I should probably have put them as capitals. I'm sorry. B, and then I will make this a capital so it matches your paper. D. To enter into treaties. Now, notice that both of these, wipes to clean that. Both of these have direct relationships to what a country would need if you were just coming out of a war. Okay? So, essentially, what these lawmakers are focused on is they're thinking about. I'm sorry, what? You interrupt my lesson for that? Fine, go get some water. They're thinking about what they immediately need. But that's essentially all that they're really thinking about. They're not thinking about the long term. They're not thinking about anything else. Okay? Which is a bit of a problem. Because if you want a country to function, you need to think about the long term. You need to think about what else does a country need to do. So, what I'm going to have you guys do is this row over here, you're going to have the job of trying to figure out questions 2 and questions 4. Okay? So you're looking for questions 2 and 4. And I want you to not only try to figure out what the answer is, but where in the text you find the answer. Okay? So once you find it, I want you to figure out the answer. You can talk with your partner at your spot. Once you find it, I want you to mark in the text where you found your answer. This row here, you're going to be working on, and this row here, you're also working on questions 3 and 5. Okay? I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Both guys, when I say go, you're working on your questions. Same directions. You are looking for not only your answer, but where in the text you found the support for your answer. Okay, does that make sense? Everybody understand? So you're finding your answer. You're finding the support in the text for your answer so that it makes sense. Okay? Ready? Go. One second, love. 1 second. I'm just restarting the timer. So you're 3 and 5.
I think it's this page right here.
You're working on 3 and 5.
Page 13. Oh, no, that's all right.
Yes.
Oh,
So you're working
page
on
13.
3 and 5. You're working on 3 and 5 in these 2 rows. You're working on 2 and 4 over here.
Yeah, it's on page 8.
You're definitely allowed to work with your neighbor within your group.
I think it's C or D. Hey, it's this.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. Just looking. It's good. Very good. So going back to Article 15. So find where that is and see if it makes the most sense. Okay. So just take a breath. Makes the most sense. Yes.
Wait, so how do we A says shall be what does that say inviolable?
Oh, inviolably. Ugh, I can't even speak.
Inviolably observed by
Observed.
every state.
Yeah.
Which means like as soon as possible, right?
It means nobody's gonna mess with us. Nobody's going to challenge that. So essentially, if we do this, no one's gonna break this rule. That is correct. Good job. Perfect.
The evidence.
That is your evidence.
Wait, so you said
Sorry. Okay.
oh every state shall abide.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, that's your evidence.
Mm.
Okay. Even if you did not complete all of your questions between the different members of your group, you might have completed all of it. So let's see how we did. Okay, Jose. What we're going to do is we're going to go over what everybody was able to complete and see how you did. All right? A lot of groups were doing quite well. Not everybody was with us, but a lot of groups were doing quite well. So let's see how we were doing. And here's my eraser. So let's. How did I get to that one? All right, so let's look at question 2. We're going to start with this group, then go over to that group, back and forth. So, what does inviolably mean as it is used in the context of Article 13?
D without exception.
Good. D. Without exception. Okay, without exception. Without exception. Yes.
Is it A for 4?
Well, hang on, we're not there yet, Goofy. But yes, you're correct. All right. So for number 2 is D, without exception. Okay? So D, without exception, we know this based off of the fact that they didn't want anybody to have any special treatment based on all of the other context clues. Okay? All of the other context clues around that statement. No one to get special treatment. There. What are you doing? Stop. All right, let's head over to number 3. You guys had number 3. Who has an answer for number 3? Jaleel, what do you got? A. That is correct. So A, every state shall abide. Nice. Every state shall abide. Why did you pick A? Okay, because every state had been at war, we now needed every state to knock it off. Okay, so because every state had been at war. And you don't have to add that part in. I'm just putting that in. All right. 4, Demetrius. You gave us 4. So A. 4 is A. Good job. Shh, shh, shh. Gentlemen, stop. Hey. Gentlemen, I don't have to go over these. I don't. I could let you do it on your own. Stop. A, to create an effective Confederacy government that has the power to win a war. So essentially, they're just creating a war government, but they're not creating something that's lasting. Okay? I really want to hammer this point home. They're not creating a lasting government, which is part of the reason why this is not the Constitution that we kept. Okay, because this was a problematic one.
What?
All right. So then let's look at number 5. What's wrong?
I think I know the answer.
Oh, okay. Well, wait. They have it. 5. A. 5 is A. The said states hereby severely enter into a firm league of friendship with each other. That's a weird phrase, right? We severely enter into a firm league of friendship for our common defense, the security of their liberties, and mutual and general welfare. Does it sound like they're happy to be hanging out with each other?
No. They don't like us.
They're like, we're doing this because we have to, but we're not thrilled about it.
Yeah, we don't like it.
Because a lot of the states, they're only kind of sort of okay with each other.
Are they pirates?
Well, you have to remember,
What was that? I think
several of the now states, because remember they were colonies, now they're states, several of them had slavery, several of them didn't. Several of them had economies that were doing well, several of them didn't. And after the war, there were a bunch of them that are like, we're doing great. Why do we have to pay for the fact that you guys now have a lot of debt after the war? We shouldn't have to pay for that. And these other states are like, yeah, but we saved you from the British. You owe us. So there was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of hostility between the different states. Especially if you remember when we watched the crash course the other day, some of those states didn't even bother to show up in that planning, in the whole setup of the country, like Georgia. Okay, so let's look at question number 6, which I didn't assign to any group. Okay, so let's look at 6. It tells us to reread Article 8, paragraph 20. Which statement best describes how the Continental Congress views taxes? Now, remember, we just fought an entire war about taxes. So, we're looking at Article 8, paragraph 20. So, Article 8, paragraph 20. All charges of war and all other expenses that shall be incurred for the common defense and or general warfare, and allowed by the United States in Congress assembled shall be defrayed out of the common treasury, which interfere with treaty stipulations already proposed at the time of the Articles of Confederation were written and sent out for ratification. The United States has sent its model treaty, a document meant to serve as a template for non-military agreements in other countries, to France, and other treaty to Spain, shall be supplied by the several states in proportion to the value of all land within each state granted or surveyed for any purpose, as such land and belongings and improvement shall be estimated in such mode, and the United States assembled shall from time to time direct and appoint. The taxes for paying that proportion shall be laid and levied. So levied, they tell you, is to impose and collect by the authority and direction of the legislatures of the several states within the time agreed upon by the United States in Congress assembled. Okay. Did they give us any specific information about how they're going to collect taxes? Not really. That's an excellent answer. Not really. And they pushed the idea of taxes onto who? Oh, well, not the United States, but just to take out the United. Yeah, to the states. They're like, we don't want to deal with that. Huh? What do you mean, where's number one? Number one we did together. We did that already. We did that. That was B and D. Okay. Well, did you write it down? I just told you it was B and D. Okay. So let's focus on this one, please, and thank you. So this question is specifically asking us, what was Congress telling us, or what was this document telling us that they're going to do about taxes? So in the reading, it's telling us that taxes are going to be the responsibility of states, and what else? The states are going to collect the taxes and, Jamash?
Spend. Say the right. Yeah. And spend, though they should contribute to the federal fund of common protection.
Yeah, basically, the states are going to collect the taxes, and then they should contribute it back to the federal government. So it's really vague, because it's this idea that, okay, we want the states to collect the money. We haven't thought this out. We want the states to take care of it, because this is really stressing us out. So let's have the states do it. And then once they figure that out, they'll kick the money to the federal government. Does this sound like a good plan? No. Because if you're like, okay, if I tell my friend to get me some money and like eventually, like when they figure it out, they'll give it to me. Are you getting money?
No.
No. Because that sounds like a ridiculously not thought out plan. Right? That's a mess of a plan. That's a plan where you're getting nothing and your friend is also going to be like, what's going on with you? Are you okay? Because none of that makes any sense. What? What are you doing? None that makes any sense. Okay? So, as Jamaj pointed out, it is letter B. It's letter B. Okay? It's letter B. Letter B. Yes. All right. Okay. You are such a mess. So let's look at question 7. What is the main idea of this document? What are they trying to accomplish? What's the main idea? Let's go back to, what do you got, Jamash?
I think they're trying to accomplish like I want to say it's to be equal.
Okay, that is so good. They are trying to say that every state is equal, but equally, I'm going to go with equally independent. Equally independent in this one nation, which is kind of a weird thing to think about. Equally independent in this one nation. So, yes, honey. Yes, this is number 7. I'm sorry. I should have. Oh, this is number 7. So, essentially, when they broke away from England, each of the colonies was like, yes, we're away from England. But they were in a situation where none of them were really quite strong enough to be an independent nation. But they super wanted to be. Okay? So think about it like someone who just turns 18 and they want to move out of their parents' house. And they're like, yes, I am out of here. A lot of people feel that way.
No, some.
Okay.
A lot of people say, free rent, free food, free laundry.
Okay. A lot of people want to get out of their parents' house, but realize that they can't because they can't afford it.
True.
So they move in with others so that they can afford to live on their own, but with other people and share expenses.
Sure.
Okay? That's essentially what the colonies were doing. They were like, listen, I'm independent, you're independent, but we gotta live under the same roof, meaning the United States, because I can't live with my parents anymore, meaning Great Britain. Okay?
Great Britain.
England?
Okay.
It's the same thing.
It's
It's okay. So, the problem was these roommates did not get along. Did not get along. Some of them were cool with each other. Some of them were cool with each other. But some of them were not cool with each other. And that's part of the reason why we see the writing of this document the way that it is. So they're going to constantly talk about we're friends. We're definitely friends. We are getting along. Everything is cool. And this idea that we are honoring jurisdictions, part of that has to do with
What?
no.
Call of Duty warfare.
Stop. Part of that has to do with the idea that, like, slaveholding states wanted to be able to say, hey, if we have a runaway slave that's coming into a non-slave area, we want to be able to chase them down into your free state. You better let us do that. And it's gonna lead to our next conflict, which will be the Civil War. So that's part of the reason why every state is equal. I'm sorry, that should say equally.
Wait, this
Yeah, sorry. Equally independent in this one nation.
What is that? Is that an S?
Every state is equally independent in this one nation. Okay?
The One Piece is real.
Okay. So I have a government question for you. And we will see how sad I'm going to be.
What are they?
Does anybody know in our current government, the one that we have today,
Biden?
Why are they branches?
how many branches of government that we have?
3.
Excellent. Very good.
30?
We have 3 branches of government.
Wait,
We have 3 branches of government. 3.
from Biden.
You're the president, bro.
Okay. So the president is the head of one branch. Do you know which branch that is?
I think it's executive.
Nice. He's the head of the executive branch. So as the president's the head of the executive branch. Then we have, do you know what the other two?
Legislative
The legislative, that's
and judicial.
good, and the judicial branch. So the legislative has Congress, and then we have the judicial branch, which is headed by the Supreme Court. Okay, so we have 3 branches. The reason why we have those 3 branches, yes, dear.
Is the Supreme Court still there? And
Yes.
Does anybody have actual found footage or pictures of the Supreme Court?
Yes.
What's the
Because
That's very
they are not allowed to shove cameras in.
Yeah, there's no pictures of.
Well, I think what he's referring to is that a girl snuck the camera into the Supreme Court and took a picture of the judges that are in the Supreme Court.
Well, you're not allowed to have any footage of the Supreme Court during the hearings, but they do have audio recordings of the hearings. But that's super weird that we're having this moment. They're alive and they're functioning. They're still existing and doing weird things. Okay, so the reason why all 3 branches exist is so that no one branch can be all powerful. Okay? Because if one branch is all powerful, then we have a King George situation, right? One person that makes all the decisions and could potentially become a king or a dictator. And that's a problem, right? We don't want that. Yes, we can all agree on that?
Yeah.
We don't want a dictator. So, let's look at number 8. What branches of government are described in this Constitution, in the Articles of Confederation?
Executive? Legislative?
It only mentions the legislative branch. It only mentions the legislative branch. So in number 8, there's only mention of Congress and no mention of an executive branch, which means we don't have a what? If we don't have an executive branch, we can't have a
president?
Yeah, which means no president. Whoopsie daisy, we screwed up. Which means no president. So, yes, honey. Only mention of Congress and no mention of an executive branch, which means no president. So for the first Constitution, we had no plan for a president. That's a problem. So we essentially said, oh yeah, we're going to have a president. Oh, we forgot to write that into the Constitution. What powers does he have? We don't know. Can we get back to you on that? So we don't know what he can do? He can do stuff.
What? Can you make that popular?
Wow.
So we didn't know what he could do. We didn't know what he couldn't do. That's a problem. Which also then means that there's no checks and balances on power. Because does Congress have more power than the president? Does the president have more power than Congress? What? We don't know. So this was confusion. This didn't make any sense. Okay. For your ticket out, like to be able to finish today, I want you to work on the questions that are on the back. I know that you will not be able to finish all of them, but I would like you to try to work on, I'm sorry, I know I'm blocking. I want you to try to work on them. I don't care which ones you do. You can pick and choose, but I would like you to work on at least, I would like you to get done 2 of them before you leave today. Okay? And some of them are definitely more fun than others. Okay? So some of them are taken directly from what we talked about, like what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation?
Wait, did they really forgot to write in an executive?
Yeah, there's no explanation of what the president can or can't do. Yes. Yeah, go right ahead. I'm out, but you can go to the bathroom and get a tissue.
Stretching. Still stretch.